I'm at the park again, which means it's a special day. The special day today is that Asian Kung Fu Generation just released their latest full-length album, Planet Folks. I'm wearing a Asian Kung Fu Generation t-shirt to commemorate the occasion. But instead of listening to it in my house or in a car or something, I decided to go to the park again so I can enjoy the sun and the birds. They might be a little too loud, but that's no big deal. I'm planning to listen to all of the songs in this park and probably give you some updates on how I feel about each song or each part of the album. So I'm gonna relax and I'll get back to you in the studio later. I get it now. This isn't an Asian Kung Fu Generation album. I've been trying to make this video for so long, so I'm finally gonna do it. Hello everybody, I am Everylead, and today we are reviewing, of course, Planet Folks by Asian Kung Fu Generation. Alright, this is gonna be half scripted, half not scripted, because I have a little sheet right here. What do I think? I think it is a 6 out of 10. It's a fusion between the soundscape of Landmark and the vibe of Magic Disc. So you can see the experimentation and the differing sounds in Magic Disc and Landmark, and what if they amplified that and then made it better? So instead of sounding like a more garish pop or more just kind of dull experimental instrumentation, it's the best of both worlds, and it just creates a better album. So instead of doing that triangle that I made before, or the worst to best little line, this is the chart that I'm going to use to describe this. I would say that this is about the second best outcome for a new release of an album. It could have been a new take on old roots, like how Hometown is a mix between the style of Surf Bungaku Kamakura and the production of Wonder Future. So it has the same kind of rock feel as the Surf album, as well as having the newer and more clean instrumentation of Wonder Future. But of course, the best outcome for me would have been that sort of take, but instead of doing that for Surf Bungaku Kamakura, they did it for something like Solfa or Fan Club. Anyways, I think this is much more of like a Goto album. The lead singer, Masafumi Goto, has his own band and his own singular production artist. So instead of it being Asian Kung Fu Generation with, the main members of Goto, Yamada, Kita, and Kiyoshi, or Ijichi, it is just Masafumi Goto, and he makes his own music. It feels like he really does take the reign in a lot of the main songs. First of all, these are the most features we've ever had on a Asian Kung Fu Generation album. I could be wrong. I know that female singers do occasionally appear in Hometown and in All Right Part 2. Or not Hometown, the song, specifically Hometown, the album, specifically UCLA. This is probably their most experimental, as I previously mentioned. The soundscape is a lot higher. There's a lot more vocal melodies, less rock-inspired and more atmospheric kinds of music and stuff like that. And it really does go pretty far, especially with the word flowers, or with the song Flowers. So yeah. Now I'm going to go over every song. U2U is very artsy. It's treading on pop territory. The feature of Rothbart Baron is a nice flourish. The lyrics discuss how fast we live and the process of looking into others to find yourself. Or at least I thought that was the message. Liberated Zone is a banger. It starts simple and builds into a traditional chorus. The most interesting part is the spoken word breakdown, but I do feel like it kind of slows the pace and creates a gap in the song where it's not song, it's just spoken word dialogue. The tail end of the song erupts in a chorus while the music swells, then abruptly cuts off. I'd recommend giving this song a listen. Dororo sounds like they tried to remake Soredewa Mate Ashita, or well then, see you again tomorrow, but in the style of Wonder Future. It's fine. Empathy is definitely one of Aging Kung Fu Generation's best songs, with some of the best lyrics to date, and a song structure that's familiar to the band. Goto's current vocal style really works in this song. The one gripe I have with it is that the instrumentation feels like it's lacking a little bit in some part. I don't know. There's just, the instrumentation, I think, is something that doesn't catch my ear as well as some other songs do. Dialogue feels kind of empty. I would say that the chorus is extremely catchy. I used to listen to it a lot when it first came out, but the rest of the song just doesn't go anywhere. De Arriba shows off Goto's vocals, but still feels kind of dull and repetitive. From what I could gather, the lyrics are pretty good. Flowers is the type of song that will be much appreciated outside the circle of Asian Kung Fu Generation fans. It's a wonderfully orchestrated ballad, but I'm not the one to listen to these types of songs often, and I would much rather have songs be more reserved rather than this operatic, orchestral sort of thing. Starry Night, City of Light is probably my favorite song on the album. Why, you may ask? It's because it's letting Masafumi Goto rap. It's groovy, it's fresh, and the features of Rachel from Kelmiko and OMSB just make the song better. My love for the song, however, has nothing to do with the core aspect of Ajikan. This doesn't mean that Ichichi, Yamada, and Kita, as I mentioned before, are like taking a backseat. They're still making the music. It's just that, it has first of all, it has lush instrumentation, great vocal melody, but if it didn't have that, I think it wouldn't stick as hard, but definitely one of the more creative things that are the song that differs from Ajikan Rock that I like the most, that kind of I mesh with, I vibe with. I Want to Touch You and Be Sure is a fine song. It vibes much more with Hometown than Planet Folks. Moeka Shiozuka plays a major part in the song and adds more flavor to a fairly bland soup. As in, like, if she wasn't on this song would be very passable. But it's a little bit better that there's two singers making this sort of duet, callback, talking to each other sort of feel. Rainfall's best quality is the vocal stacking. In the middle-ish back end part, there's a lot of different vocals going on. Awesome, I love that. Everything else I do not remember. It was also composed by Yamada, I think. Gimme Hope feels less monotonous than the other songs in the back half of the album, and the main melody is very catchy. I like the main melody. Bum ba bum ba bum 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 ba bum bum. Come on, yay. That song's whatever, but I do think that the vocals do a good job. Vocals work, not the synthesizer vocals where it's very heavily processed vocals. I don't really like that. They did that in the Can't Sleep EP, whatever. See You Again is... Wait a second. See You Again is just a normal song. It just sounds like a normal song. Oh, wait, no. There's the soundscaping. Okay, all jokes aside, this is probably the best of their so-called fluff songs in the album, as in songs that I don't really think stand out in any major way. This is probably one of the better songs. Be Alright is the kind of song that I wanted Flowers to be. The instrumentation is more contemporary rock, and I like the choir who sings Be Alright. It's a great ending to the album and is more up my alley than, of course, the more orchestra slow song that is Flowers. Other than that, I enjoyed myself. I filmed my initial reactions, and I thought I'd make that the review. I ended up not using that because I didn't describe it well enough. I tried to make this multiple times. Planet Folks, the Asian Kung Fu Generation album, came out basically 2 months ago, and I did not review it. The big takeaway that I'd say is that this is not probably what most Asian Kung Fu Generation purists want. If you like their first half of the catalog, you're not going to like this. But if you liked Magic Disc and Landmark and wanted to see them take that and refine that sound into a newer, more elegant sound, this is it. So, of course, as I previously mentioned, take a look at the chart. If you like that kind of song structure choices that they make in this, I'm glad. And I think that a lot of people outside of the sphere of Asian Kung Fu Generation's first batch of music in their catalog, people will enjoy it, even if you didn't know Asian Kung Fu Generation. But it doesn't feel really like an Asian Kung Fu Generation album. It takes it in a new direction, and taking it in a new direction is better than treading on old ground the same way over and over and over again. It's a gotch album featuring Asian Kung Fu generation. Drastic instrumentation, the rock, the rap that Asian Kung Fu, Goto does, you know? I get it now. It doesn't feel, if you come Asian Kung Fu generation album satisfied. But if you come gotch album featuring the members of their, you know, their instruments, skills to the mix, then it's bad. That's it. That's the album. We're done. We're done with the album.